Michigan International Speedway is known for breathtaking speed and wide-open competition. This 2-mile oval features a massive 73-foot wide racing surface and 18-degree banked corners, creating multiple racing grooves and some of the fastest lap times anywhere in motorsports. While Michigan isn't classified as a super speedway, the long straightaways and sweeping turns demand raw horsepower, precision, and bravery at both ends of the track. Once Indy cars thundered through the Irish hills at incredible speeds, highlighted by Paul Tracy's legendary 234.949 mile-per-hour qualifying lap. Today, Michigan remains one of NASCAR's fastest venues, regularly vying with Daytona and Talladega, with Jeff Gordon's 206.558 mile-per-hour lap still standing as the NASCAR Cup Series track record. The winners list here reads like a Motorsports Hall of Fame. Richard Petty, David Pearson, Bobby and Davey Allison, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, alongside open-wheel legends like Andretti, Foyt, Unser, Mears, and Zanardi. For more than half a century, the world's best drivers have come to Michigan to test their skill, and the fans have followed in huge numbers. Tonight, a new chapter is written as the IROC Challenge Series takes on Michigan Speedway. It's the Charity Motorsports 202, and it's coming your way next, live on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Michigan Speedway for the IROC Challenge Series Charity Motorsports 202. Getting ready to get underway. Practice and qualifying already in the books. A final warm-up session about to be completed. Let's go down trackside to see what kind of lap times these drivers are laying down here tonight. Fast time so far, 46 of Chris Mefford, 38.882. Zachary Cleek second fast. Steve Durbin, Kevin McCann, Casey Bentz your top five. Fast lap times here below 39 seconds within our top five. Chris Wally just outside of that, the 39.005. Just a couple of minutes left in this warm-up session before we jump right into the race itself. Going to be an interesting race. I know we had a great race last week in the IROC Challenge Series. Likely to see just a similar show here tonight at Michigan. Again, we talked about it in the open. Not really a super speedway by any means, but it is a speedway. It is super. It's just not quite as large as Daytona and Talladega, but the speed's going to be there. The drafting is going to be there. And again, this place being as wide as it is, that's all you're going to need to know. Stick around. Don't go anywhere for it because it's going to be a fun one. We're going to take a real brief break before we get to our race, so stand by. We'll be back after this. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook. Back at Michigan Speedway, black and red flags on the warm-up session here at Michigan. Brian McCann ends up topping the charts with an 8:23. Chuck Sweeting, Aaron Smith, Chris Mefford, and Zachary Kleek rounding out the top 5. A lot of changes in that in the last minute and a half of this session. So with that, it's race time. Let's take a look at it. Our starting grid for tonight's race on the pole position with a lap time of 38.851 seconds. It's the 70 of Aaron Smith. Outside front row, missed it by 41 thousandths. The 33 of Kevin McCann in a part-time effort. In the second row, it'll be Brian McCann and Chuck Sweeting. Row number 3 is Steve Durbin and Peter Ruzick. Row 4 belongs to Casey Bentz and Christian Strader, some front runners last week. And then row 5, it's Garrett Johnston and Jason Nilgis. In the 11th position, it'll be the 49 of Adam Pettit. And the 83 in 12th, it's Brandon Mefford. 13th starter will be the 6 of TJ Majors. Gavin Hinson will start 14th. Chris Mefford in the 46 will start 15th. Zachary Kleek 16th. Kyle White rolls off from the 17th position. Chris Wally deep in the field in 18th. Todd Kleek, the number 45, will start 19th. William Tyndall, the 62, will be 20th. Kyle Hardy, 21st, and shotgun on the field in the 22nd starting position from Charity Motorsports. It's the 34 of Doug Wysocki. That's your starting grid for the Charity Motorsports 202. And for whatever reason, the graphic won't load. Race details for tonight. 78-degree ambient temperature, 45% humidity, partly cloudy skies, a 2-mile-per-hour breeze. Track temperature a little warm, 112 degrees Fahrenheit. 101 laps the distance tonight, 202 miles. 75% fuel on board. 3 sets of tires available over the wall. No fast repairs, count them, 0, zip, zilch. And 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if we need it. Field rolling through turns 3 and 4, getting set to go racing here at Michigan. Back half of the field getting caught up here. Pace car heads to pit lane. Barney with the green in hand, ready to get underway. Into the restart zone. There it is. Green flag called for. It waves, and we are racing from the Irish Hills. Field spills out onto the back straightaway off turn number 2. Aaron Smith with the field in hand. Now to the inside in turn number 3. It is the 3. Brian McCann trying to take the top spot away. Wants to lead lap number 1. It's just a matter of pride and a little bit of bonus points. Out of turn number 4, side by side for the top spot. Coming down to the line, McCann with just a couple inches ahead of the 70 of Aaron Smith. For a little bump from his brother, he'll lead lap number 1. Shady Acres in the chat asking about the sound. Somehow I managed to mute it. Curious, how much of it did you miss? Did you hear any of the open, or was it completely dead silent? Because, well, that's unfortunate if it was. My apologies. At least we got it fixed. So Brian McCann comfortably into the race lead. A couple of tenths back to Aaron Smith. Now Aaron Smith with another McCann to worry about. It's Kevin McCann in the number 33. He's got a 3 out in front of him and a 33 behind him, and a big run underneath him. Jumps to the outside of Brian McCann. Going to the bottom is Kevin McCann. They're 3 wide for the race lead. Field off turn number 2, still 3 wide for the race lead here at Michigan. They're getting after it already. Kevin McCann loses that momentum. He checks up a bit. Now it's side by side, 2 by 2 at the front of the field. Brian McCann, low side of the racetrack. Aaron Smith in the yellow number 70 at the top. Behind them, Kevin McCann throwing the block on Peter Ruzick. Ruzick jumps it all the way down to the grass to make the move. Gets clear of Kevin McCann and will move up into the 5th position. Quickly through turn 1, gets the spot from Chuck Sweeting. Move Ruzick to 4th. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead hasn't cooled down a bit. Smith still to the outside. Brian McCann will tuck in behind the 70 now. Thought about switching lanes to the outside, but the gap just wasn't wide enough to fit. Big gaggle of cars here. TJ Majors 3 wide with the 15 to Garrett Johnston and Chuck Sweeting to the outside. Majors has moved up a handful of spots but gives away a few right now. Majors in the Battleship Gray number 6, the low side of the racetrack. Still 3 wide, a couple of rows deep off turn number 2. Majors on the bottom, Johnston in the middle, and it looks like Christian Strader to the outside. They get doubled back up. Aaron Smith continues to lead, and Brian McCann has fallen back to the 4th spot in the meantime. Up to the 2nd position, the 99 is Steve Durbin. Peter Ruzick now working to the outside of Brian McCann. He wants the 3rd spot. Very aggressive racing in the early stages here at Michigan. 3 and 4 wide already. I know there's room, but there's no need right now. Majors again goes 3 wide. Pettit in the middle, and up top in the 39 machine is Gavin Hinson. Majors really not able to make a whole lot of hay there on the bottom. Still runs just into the 10th spot. Could lose a couple of those in no time flat. Banging off each other, coming to the line. Strader got pinched up into the wall on the exit of turn 4 and then made contact because he had no more room coming through the D of the oval. Brian McCann now in front of Kevin McCann. Brian running in 5th. Starting to see Aaron Smith change lanes quite a bit when they get back to the main straightaway here. Trying to break the trap. You see that very commonly down maybe the backstretch at Daytona or Talladega or really any straightaway, especially on the main straightaway at Pocono or even at Indianapolis. Don't tend to see it very much here at Michigan, but it seems to be working now for Aaron Smith as he continues to lead and hold off Steve Durbin, Jason Nilgis, and Brian McCann. Now Durbin looking to the inside, down turn number 3. Stepping out of line, Steve Durbin has the run. Now alongside, might get clear into 1, but Aaron Smith keeps his foot in it. A little wider radius for Aaron Smith. He'll carry that momentum off turn number 2 and maintain the top spot. Durbin will settle back in a car length off the back bumper of Smith. Allows Jason Nilgis to close the gap. He's going to push Durbin down the backstretch into 3. TJ Majors now in the 7th spot, up 6 positions, has changed lanes, got off the bottom, now up top. Garrett Johnston still to the other door of the 6. Chuck Sweeting in tow and behind Majors. Adam Pettit, the number 49 machine, was 3 wide with Brandon Mefford and Sweeting just a moment ago. They get doubled back up. Strader to the outside of Mefford. Out front, still Durbin pressuring Aaron Smith. He wants to try and take that lead away Nothing else, just to keep that yellow number 70 in somebody's rearview mirror. Aaron Smith with 6 wins on the season. You can understand why these guys don't want him out there leading this race, especially early on. It's one thing when he's got to go to the back and work his way through the field and pick up a win, but starting on pole here tonight, third race of this championship round, he means business. Durbin again to the bottom of the racetrack. Just going to give the 99 a push. They're going to work together here. Niall just couldn't keep the car hooked up on the bottom of the racetrack, or maybe he could. Durbin, though, loses the momentum and opens the door for Brian McCann. McCann with a big-time run. Some help from Kevin McCann as well. Not quite clear, though. Smith going to try and pin the 3 down as far as he can. But off at turn number 4, McCann gets clear and takes the lead back. Just a few laps ago, it appears TJ Majors has had a pretty significant problem out on the racetrack. He's shown 22nd in the pits with some pretty severe damage. We'll see if we can catch what happened exactly here. Looks like Peter Ruzick and Majors come together here. A little bit of contact. Majors gets into the door. Ruzick, oh, monster impact. Wow. Want to watch it follow Ruzick this time. Wow. That was a big one. So I think it's Evu Shroom. I'm not even saying it right, I'm sure. 1267 says you missed what was a pretty hilarious run-in. Lap 12, turn 4. Oh, yeah. We just replayed the replay. That was a big one. I said it earlier, guys. They were running real hard, very aggressive, very early on. Can't win these things on the first lap. You certainly can't win it on lap 12 either. I don't know if Majors just thought Ruzick was further up the track than he was. I mean, Ruzick had room to open up the wheel and give space to the 6, but it just didn't happen. Either way, they both come together, and both of their races have come to a close. Latrell Racing in the chat says, someone call an ambulance. Yeah, not only for the drivers, but half the guys in the pits. The 26 almost cleared the inside pit wall. Meanwhile, Kevin McCann has cleared Aaron Smith for the 2nd spot, so it's a McCann 1, 2, the 3, and the 33, leading off of turn 4. Aaron Smith now 3rd, Johnston is 4th, Jason Nile just runs 5th. Speaking of that 5th place, that battle, that position is contested right now, and it not for long as Mefford has now taken over P5. Nile just back to 6th. Nile just all over the back bumper of Brandon Mefford into turn number 3. Checks up quite a bit. Got in pretty close. Might have made some contact there with Mefford. But off at turn number 4. Now Brandon battling with Garrett Johnston. Johnston retakes the 4th position. Adam Pettit now all over the back bumper of the 83. Things starting to settle down a little bit here, at least the top 8, except for Brandon Mefford. Gets to the inside of Johnston, sweeps up the track a little bit, drifts into the door of the 15, has to check up to avoid wrecking them both. That's going to slow him down enough and open the door for Adam Pettit. So Mefford's going to go from trying to challenge for the 4th spot to losing 5th, or will he be able to battle back on the outside? Meanwhile, Chris Wally has come to the pit lane. Not sure the scenario wrong there with the 51. Doesn't appear to have any damage on the machine. Slides to a stop in the pit box. Backs it up a little. Overshot the box. He's going to throw his tires on now and get some fuel. A little off cycle for Chris Wally. He had a decent lap in practice, or at least in the warm-up session. Showed some pace. Dump the clutch and head on back out. First driver to pit under green flag conditions tonight. Leaders will flash by and put Chris Wally a lap down. Was this a preemptive pit stop for Chris Wally? Will we see the rest of these guys come down and pit soon after? You got to look at the lap times here. Fastest of the day, at least for Brian McCann, was a 38.77. They're already approaching about a second slower than that lap time. Pettit still battling with Brandon Mefford. This is for the 5th position. And Steve Durbin, who was a front runner early, as they drive it down into 3. Chris Mefford almost getting into the 83 of Brandon Mefford. Durbin's going to take 2 spots out of this. Slides up the racetrack in front of the 83. Brandon never lifts. Gives the 99 a shot just to say, I don't appreciate that sort of thing. Meanwhile, the Meffords now run side by side, a family affair here in the IROC Challenge Series. Kevin and Brian McCann out in front, and then Chris and Brandon Mefford just outside, or just inside the top 10. Steve Durbin pulls out of line, might be coming to pit lane. 99 knew he had to get down in a hurry. Let's see if he comes down to pit. Still in the gas. No, he's going to stay out. Meanwhile, out front, still Brian McCann in charge, fresh off his first win of the season. Oh, real loose off turn number 2. Kevin McCann scrapes the wall. Saves the race car, but he may give up a spot here to Aaron Smith. Trying to slide there in front of Garrett Johnston, is able to do so. Just outside the top 10, Chuck Sweeting, Casey Bentz battling for that 10th position. Bentz in the number 27, Sweeting in the pink number 75. Every time I see that 75 car, I think it's a Country Time pink lemonade scheme. Last lap for Chris Wally, fresh off his pit stop, about a half second quicker than the race leaders, though he is still a lap down. First car 1 lap down, though, gambling for that caution to come out, get him on that lucky dog situation. Shady Acres in the chat helping us out with the pit window, 28 to 30 laps on fuel. And Adam Pettit, an off-track excursion. This time by, they will start lap 28, and it looks like Jason Nile just is going to come down and pit right now. Looks like Durbin's going to come with him. Oh, of the pack, you had Todd Kleek, Kyle White trying to get into pit lane, and both drivers struggling mightily. White went through the grass just a touch, but he straightened it back out and got in. I don't think he'll get a penalty for an unsafe entry. He may have gotten in there just in time. Kleek slides the car, a little too much rear brake for the 45, has to back it up to get set into his pit box. Kyle White in cleanly, right side tires going on. Niall just finishes up a 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel. Same is going to be going with Kyle White. Quick stop for Kyle White, 14:32. Even faster for Todd Kleek. 14.32 seconds, 4 tires and fuel for the 45. Adam Pettit now in the pits as well. So first round of green flag stops underway here at Michigan Speedway. Real good entry for Pettit. Locked him right up, came to a stop where he needed to be. Right side tires already changed on the number 49 machine. Crew around to the left. Second can of Sunoco fuel going in. Drops the jack. He's going to head back out. 14:62. Some lightning fast pit stops here in the early running here. Our first green flag cycle of pit stops. Now the leaders are in. Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, Kyle Hardy, Gavin Hinson, Zachary Kleek. All going to head down along with Doug Wysocki. This is our lead group. Now Aaron Smith has stayed out on the racetrack, at least for the time being. May see him come down the next time. It's likely to be the same call for everybody up and down pit road. 4 tires and fuel, then back into the race. And there it is, Aaron Smith from the race lead. He'll come down to the attention of his crew. Got to wonder if he got in a little bit too hot. Rear end of that race car was snaking around quite a bit, even after the pit entry line. Now Garrett Johnston, the new race leader. Chuck Sweeting runs second. The last 2 drivers to make a pit stop. Everybody else has been or is on pit lane. Aaron Smith, no penalty, got in cleanly, gets out cleanly. Now the last 2 to pit, Garrett Johnston and Chuck Sweeting. Now, in all likelihood, that should cycle Aaron Smith back around to the race lead. Actually, not going to be the case. Steve Durbin, one of the earlier pitters, he has taken over the race lead once he gets clear of Johnston and Sweeting, who have just wrapped up their pit stops. So Durbin back out in front. Then it's Niall Just, Brian McCann, and Kevin McCann. So what happened there is those guys came down and pit at lap 27, a couple of laps prior to Brian and Kevin McCann. Why is that significant? Well, we talked about the lap time fall off based on how the tires were wearing. Only 20 laps in, they were losing almost a full second of lap time. So these guys that came down and pit, they had 2 laps out there on fresh tires compared to McCann's on the older tires. So they were able to gain some track position just by sheer speed on the fresher tire, about a second a lap. Now it will end up coming back around as both McCanns run 3rd and 4th. Brian 3rd, Kevin 4th, Aaron Smith running in 5th. Track position does make a difference. Obviously, it's put Durbin out into the race lead. The guys in behind him now with a little bit newer tires, only 2 laps newer, should, at least as the run progresses, be able to make their move and run down the 88 and the 99. Looks like a 7-car draft here at the front of the field. Brandon Mefford, the caboose in that line, and imagine that, it's red. Small group in behind led by Chris Mefford with Christian Strader and Garrett Johnston. And further back, another pack of cars, a trio, Gavin Hinson, Casey Benson, Chuck Sweeting, and Chris Wally running up behind him. Wally now back on the lead lap, but still shown in the 14th position. Then it's Kyle Hardy and Zachary Kleek. Further down the line, William Tyndall, Kyle White, Doug Wysocki, and Todd Kleek. Those are your lead lap cars. Meanwhile, battle for the lead. Brian McCann not wasting any time, taking full advantage of just a little bit of a tire advantage down into turn number 3. May take the lead away here. We'll see if Durbin can battle back on the outside. McCann gets clear. Durbin can't put the hammer down to maintain the spot. Nilgis will run in behind the 99. Kevin McCann tried to go with Brian, but no drafting help. And Aaron Smith with a run. He'll get to the inside of Nilgis for the 3rd spot. Brian McCann marches his way back to the front of the field. We thought Aaron Smith was going to beat him back there, but it didn't happen. Smith running 4th with Kevin McCann to his right rear quarter. Coming down to the line, a little wiggle from Kevin McCann. Thought the 70 was coming up further. A little reaction there out of the 33. And now Durbin back on the attack, going after the lead. This race keeps going like this, I'm going to lose my voice. And I got another race tomorrow. Durbin unable to get it done. He'll settle back in behind McCann, and Aaron Smith making a move on Adam Pettit and Kevin McCann, all in one fall swoop down into turn number 3. May have Kevin McCann clear, keeps it pinned on the bottom of the racetrack, at least from the apex on exit. Still side by side with the 33. No drafting assist for Aaron Smith, and he's going to go to the back. I don't think you're going to see anybody help the 70 in this race. It's not because he's a bad guy. Aaron Smith's just fine and dandy, but he's got 6 wins on the season. None of these drivers in this field want to see him get a 7th. They're not going to make it easy on him, and we're seeing that right now. Smith has fallen back to 7th now, the last car in that lead pack. Some shuffling around behind them. In the 8th spot, Christian Strader now has taken over the lead of this little trio. Chris Mefford in the middle with the 15 of Garrett Johnston tailing it up. Gavin Hinson now will lead the other pack, the 3rd pack, if you will, with Casey Benson, Chuck Sweeting. It's not really a pack if it's only 3, but you get the picture. Some of the views as a fan here at Michigan Speedway. Got to give a big thanks again to Whiplash Sim Cams for their custom camera content here in the iRacing service. Andrew over at Whiplash Sim Cams and Pit Stop TV, a competing broadcast network, but they do a dandy of a job. He's got some real-world experience setting these cameras up at these racetracks, even manning them in some instances, and some of the local short tracks in the Carolinas. Definitely has the talent and has an eye for what he's doing. So we certainly appreciate his work on these custom cameras and continual updates. So last pit stop for Brian McCann was lap 29. Let's take a look at that pit strategy when we have the moment. He went 29 laps, of course, on that first run. 11 laps into this run, so a third of the way, a little more than a third of the way in. Durbin went 27. McCann, Kevin that is, went 29 as well. Jason Nile just 27. You see it all the way down the line. Some went a little bit further. Garrett Johnston back in the 10th position. He went 31 laps on a tank of fuel, going a little bit further than the majority of his competitors ahead of him. That can only help him as this race goes on. Try to save, try to stretch the fuel to the very bitter end.
Caution.
And the caution comes out. William Tyndall in trouble. Looks like this is off of turn number 2. Shady Acres in the chat says, awesome broadcast. Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that. I don't know if you're talking about Pit Stop or me, but either way, the thanks is there. I'll thank you on behalf of Andrew. He He actually taught me quite a bit about this game as far as broadcasting is concerned before I really even came close to being decent at it. I still don't think I'm great at it, but I'm glad that you guys all like it. Let's see what happened here to Tyndall. Put us under our first caution, 42 laps in, and even though it's been a short run, I think we will see these guys come down and pit with 3 sets of tires to start the race over the wall. So Tyndall running down the 19 of Kyle White here. Let's get a little closer with Arid. Had a big run and too much of a run. Pounds the outside wall. Doesn't get into the 19 at all, but spins the car and slides it down the racetrack. Now, I forget because I can't keep my 3 leagues straight, but he went down there by himself, and I don't think there was a lot of traffic behind. I'm not sure what triggered the actual caution. It may have been just that, or potentially a live admin throwing the yellow there. To me, it's warranted. That was a legitimate caution in real life, unless it's like, 5 laps to go in a real NASCAR race. They probably wouldn't call that. Either way, pit stop's underway. Brian McCann and company all going to come down and pit. Latrell Racing says, you got the voice and the vocabulary for it. Man, I try. Sometimes I get a little tongue twisted and I say things that make absolutely no sense, but nobody comes here to listen to me repeat myself, so if I tend to do that, please say so. Latrell Racing says, me don't word good. I had to read that twice, but I get it. And honestly, it comes from, let's see, I'm 43 years old now. It comes from 40 years of listening to guys like Mike Joy, Ken Squire, Eli Gold, Alan Bestwick, so many more to name. A lot of the MRN guys, Dave Moody, Mike Bagley, those guys, especially on the MRN side of things, trying to call the action as if you can't see what's happening. Obviously, here in the iRacing world, you can see this broadcast and what's happening. But I don't have a second booth mate right now. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So to me, it's actually just more fun to just call the race as if you can't see it. It sounds better. And honestly, when I watch a race on Sundays, I usually mute the TV and then turn the MRN feed on and try and sync it up, just because it makes it more exciting. Shady Acre says we needed that caution. I don't know if he's referring to his driver or just in general, but it was a strong green flag run. It's really good to see. I'll take a caution a little bit before halfway. Latrell Racing says, I'm 42. Ken Squire, hell yeah, buddy. I even go a little bit back to the days of Chris Economaki and David Hobbs, Daytona 500 broadcast. Benny and Ned and Bob Jenkins in the booth for ESPN. Every one of those guys have a little bit of influence in what I'm trying to do here. I don't claim to be anywhere near as good as those guys were, and I don't think I ever will be, but so 44 laps in, we're on the 1 to go. We'll get the restart here, lap 45. Don't forget, we are going to go to a side-by-side break just after halfway. So if you want to run to the fridge and get a snack or a beer, you could have done it just now during this caution. Or you can do it during the side-by-side. But again, don't forget, it's a side-by-side break. Yeah, you got to hear the commercial, but you'll still see what's happening on track. So I'm just going to call it Shroom over in the IROC chat. Shroom says classic.
Green.
Not sure what he's referring to. Maybe it was the voices, but green flag back in the air. McCann gets a stellar jump on the field, slides up the racetrack into the high lane. Brandon Mefford and Kevin McCann will run side by side for second down to turns 1 and 2. Close quarters battle here off of turn number 4, coming back to start finish. Brandon Mefford making moves to the inside still. He races like it's the last lap every lap. There is no quit. There is no let off in the driver of that number 83 machine. And honestly, it's kind of the same for his brother Chris, who runs to his inside here off of turn number 2. Fun to watch these guys battle it out. They were side by side. In fact, that was Adam Pettit, not Chris Mefford. My apologies. Similar color race cars, but yeah, the 49, Adam Pettit now to the inside of Mefford, and 39 of Hinson, the top of the racetrack. Mefford's going to try and put it 3 wide. He's not scared. There he goes, the meat and the sandwich with Hinson to the outside. Not a perfect sandwich, but Hinson gets clear of both drivers. He'll move up into 5th. Can't forget Doc Jerry Punch either. I miss Doc Punch as a pit reporter. He did good in the booth for a little while too, but man, he was great as a pit reporter. And I guess his daughter Jessie's doing a pretty good job. She's covering some local short track stuff too. She does a great job. Aaron Smith now looking for second, gets clear. Kevin McCann slides up the racetrack, dumping some dirty air on the 33, and Kevin's not lifting either. Gets to the back bumper. Don't know if there was contact, but it was paper thin nonetheless. A big run for Aaron. He's going for the race lead in turn 1. Uses all of that draft, drives to the bottom of the racetrack and well clear of Brian McCann off turn number 2, goes to the race lead again. Jerry Punch, John Kernan. John Kernan, another great name in the pits. Yeah, Neil Bonnet was a lot of those TNN broadcasts as well. And we can't forget Buddy Baker. Come on. So many great broadcasters over the history of NASCAR. Makes me feel old, but I love it. Aaron Smith now your race leader. Car length and a half back to Brian McCann. McCann might be trying to save a little bit here. He was very aggressive in the early running of this race, trying to hold the guys off for that race lead, but now he's got to hold off his brother, Kevin McCann. Kevin now looks to the inside, but no help for the 33. Man, we've seen that a bunch here tonight already. You drop to the inside. If you don't have the best run of your life, you can't make that pass work without help. Lucky for McCann, though, he'll be able to settle in behind Adam Pettit, but he'll lose the spot. He'll sit 4th now as Pettit jumps up into the top 3. Chris Mefford in 5th, and that mint chocolate chip number 46. Shady Acres, I listened to some of your broadcasts that you sent earlier, and I pegged you for a younger guy. How old are you? Steve Durbin working his way back through in the 6th position. He's got a lot of pace here tonight. Challenged for that race lead, led a little bit of laps as well. To get him near the front, he's going to be someone to deal with before this one's all said and done. With that, though, Aaron Smith will lead yet another lap. We are past halfway here at Michigan Speedway. We're going to step aside, get our track limit side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop-lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics, LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens, UMP Modified and Silver Crown driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Michigan Speedway, Aaron Smith continues to lead. Adam Pettit now has jumped up into the second spot ahead of Brian McCann. Kevin McCann still in fourth. Chris Mefford still fifth. But here comes Steve Durbin up into the sixth position, slowly but surely marching towards the front. We got Race Everything 32 in the chat on the IROC side, says Ken Squire, Dick Berggren. How do I forget Dick Berggren? Dr. Dick Berggren. Man, I miss him on the broadcast. And, of course, Ned Jarrett. Ned Jarrett. Yeah, Ned Jarrett. Dale Jarrett, too. Getting all sentimental here. Aaron Smith still with the lead and about a tenth and a half back to Adam Pettit. But Pettit's got some pace. He'll be a contender. Has been really all night, but won't go away. Right to the back bumper of Aaron Smith. Big run off of 4. Headed down into 1 now. Pit strategies again, a short run. The first run went all the way green to the first round of pit stops, then a short run there with the caution coming out. We've already exceeded that with 17 laps going up on the board now. Still about 10-12 laps away from starting to see some drivers come down and pit. Shady Acres says, I really liked Rusty Wallace in the booth. Yeah, he wasn't terrible. I think he was better on ESPN than he is in the radio side of things personally. But, yeah, he was always good to have on the ESPN ABC side. A nice clean look at the nose of the Brian McCann machine. They have to worry about him to the window net side as well, as McCann going for second. Maybe some contact. Let's open the door for Nilgis on the bottom of the racetrack. We really haven't seen a lot of guys able to get a pass done on the inside, with the exception of maybe Aaron Smith. But as these guys battle behind him, he's starting to stretch out that lead to over 3/10. Pettit hangs on to the second spot. Nilgis now up to third, and Garrett Johnston's going to make some contact with McCann off of turn number 2. Is he trying to take away that 4th spot? Chris Mefford falling back a little. He runs 6th. McCann trying after Nilgis now to the inside, but nothing doing there. Garrett Johnston side by side with Chris Mefford off of 4. Durbin there in the mix as well, alongside Christian Strader, and Brandon Mefford there watching it all unfold. Dives to the bottom again. Back to third now. Sets his sights back on the 49 of Adam Pettit. 3 wide behind him with Durbin, Mefford, and Cleek. He'll get singled out before turn number 1. It's amazing how much of an influence the draft really has here at Michigan, especially in these ARCA cars. Chris Mefford now to 7th, losing some spots now. Kyle Hardy scrapes the wall off of turn number 2. He's got Casey Bentz in tow. And ahead of him, Gavin Hinson will take over, with Chuck Sweeting to his inside. This the battle for the 12th position, and Sweeting gets clear of everybody. Back out front, Pettit just inches off the back bumper of Aaron Smith until they get to turn number 1. Now it stretches to a car length and a half, maybe 2, back to the 49. I tell you, there is good racing all over the racetrack right now. There's really no singular battle that I need to follow. Everywhere I go, there's something happening. Casey Bentz now trying to make his move around Kyle Hardy. Can't get it done with Cleek now to the bottom of the track. The caution is on the Speedway. Not sure what for as of yet. And there it is on the backstretch. Looks like Brandon Mefford has a minimum involved here. Garrett Johnston tied up in this as well with some heavy damage to the nose of the number 15. Second caution of the night, lap 66. And pit strategy-wise, this is pretty much a perfect opportunity. A few laps shy of our first or second round of green flag stops. Caution's going to come out and give us an opportunity to do it at a slower pace. So let's get a look what happened just a moment ago. Catching it a little bit late. We'll back it up. So you see the 11 of Cleek. Zachary Cleek to the outside. Oh, Garrett Johnston in the wall early. Let's back it up a little further and see exactly what caused this. Might have been some door-to-door contact with Johnston and Chris Mefford. Mefford sliding up the racetrack, losing the nose a little bit, gets into the door of Garrett Johnston. I think Chris is able to save this And a little overcorrect there from Johnston. He'll pound the outside wall, and that's where everybody else is going to pile in. Not enough time to make a good reaction there. Cleek gets into the back of Johnston. Mefford into the back of Cleek, and he'll take a ride down the infield. So pit stop's underway. And as expected, I think everybody's going to come down. Durbin's going to win the race off of pit road. Did he take two? 9.3 seconds, the pit stop for Steve Durbin. I think that was a two-tire stop. We're just going to rewind it. This is my least favorite thing to do. I wish there was a better way. Does the right sides go in the air? Fuel only for Steve Durbin. There it is. I don't know. I don't know if I like that call. If we were in a green-white checkered situation, maybe, but it was the end of that tire run, or fuel run if that were. We talked about the fall-off. It's almost a full second a lap. Durbin's going to need to kind of hope for a quick caution, but even still, it's not going to help him with track position, or does he come back down? He's going to come back down and pit. I think maybe he thought somebody else or some other drivers would have done the same. But the other side of this, Shady Acres in the chat says, I didn't want that caution to come out right then. Screws the whole fuel window big time. So that might be why these guys are coming down to pit right now. We did see some drivers make it 31 laps on a tank of fuel in that first early run. We're just right around that fuel window paying off as Aaron Smith gives up the track position to come down and top off the tank. Some other drivers have done the same. But interestingly, Durbin's going to sit on his no-tire strategy for this stop. He just comes down and splash and go. Shady Acres says max fuel is 31. Again, we did see a couple of drivers make it that distance, that 31-lap distance. It's tough to save fuel. Obviously, if you're not leading the pack and you're in the draft the whole time, there's some ability to save some fuel. But if we run green all the way to the end, this is going to get really interesting at the end of this race. So now, getting ready for the restart. It'll be lap 70, so that'll take us 31 laps to the checkered flag, barring a caution. It'll be Christian Strader with the race lead. Adam Pettit will be to the outside.
Green.
Green flag back in the air. Honestly, at this point, it's not 31, it's 32 laps because you still have to run that final lap. So unless somebody gets really creative in their fuel save, I don't know. It's going to be tight. I would love to see this run green to the end to see who can make it and who can't. You might see half the field dive down pit road on the white flag. Back across the line, 31 laps to go. See, for some of the guys in the back of the pack, I would have almost made a pit stop for fuel coming to the green flag. I know that might be crazy, but if you're one of those guys that you think to yourself, I don't have a shot to win this, why not gamble? Why not come down, top off, and save fuel the rest of this run? Obviously, it has to run green to the end for that to be effective. But I'm kind of surprised we didn't see anybody take that chance. So it's Strader, Pettit, Nilgis, Brian McCann, Kevin McCann. That's your top 5. Kyle Hardy up into the 6th position. Hardy out there with the flu and just had surgery. No quit in the driver of that number 35 machine. Shady Acres says, heck, we're banking on another caution. I bet we'll get one more. Especially when this thing gets closer to the end. Guys are going to be right up on the wheel. Shroom1267 says that's definitely an F in the chat for Garrett. What did I miss? I don't know. Strader and Pettit still 1 and 2. Some talent here at the front of the field that we don't always get to see leading laps. Jason Nile just runs 3rd. Brian McCann, Kevin McCann still 4th and 5th. Nile just making a move to the 2nd spot. Has the run into turn number 3, but no drafting help. Strader up the racetrack. Pettit's trying to take the spot away as well. Doesn't have the momentum, but it looks like Nile just will get clear and take the race lead off of 4. Is Strader really loose on corner exit? So Brian McCann may be in position to take the 3rd spot here, but Strader has regrouped. He's back on the bottom of the track with a little bit of help there in Kyle White, the 19 machine. Kevin McCann, Brian McCann. Kevin in the 33. And William Tyndall up 15 positions in the 5th spot. For now. Kyle White trying to take it away. They're side by side off of turn number 4 as well. So Tyndall takes the 5th spot. White steps out of line. Kevin McCann stays tucked up under, Tyndall stays tucked up under Kevin McCann. But to the bottom of the racetrack, Kyle White making some moves. Picks up 2-3 spots if he can get clear off turn number 4. They're 3 wide. Pettit in the middle. Nile just up top. And now White going for the race lead, but no help in the draft. Pettit will rocket back to the front, off the nose of Brian McCann. McCann swaps lanes, looks for the inside. Not enough of a run, but he's up to 2nd spot. 3 wide behind him. Kevin McCann in the middle. Nile just up top. I hate to say it, but with 25 to go, this is shaping up to be a better race than last week, and that's hard to do. Aaron Smith working to the bottom with Tyndall. Tyndall stuck in the middle. Now Brandon Mefford going to do the same. Strader up top in the high lane. Kyle Hardy was tucked up behind Tyndall, trying to decide which lane to go. I would stick with the lane that's moving right now, and it wasn't the middle. Tyndall now tucks up behind Christian Strader in the high side. Pettit still with the lead. Kyle White 2nd. Brian McCann, Kevin McCann 3rd and 4th. Aaron Smith with a nose out in the 5th position. Pettit still with the lead, coming to 23 laps to go, but it might be all for naught because I don't think anybody out there has enough fuel to finish out that last lap. White now rockets to the front. Big run for Adam Pettit to the outside. He'll battle back. No help for the 49, though. McCann gets behind him there. That's going to help him down the backstretch, but there's plenty of help to the inside for Kyle White. It'll be a drag race into 3. White finally clear of Adam Pettit. Pettit going to decide, do I stick with the 19, close down in front of Aaron Smith? He'll stay tucked up, goes up the racetrack now with a push from Brian McCann. He may have the run down to turn number 1. White nowhere to go, didn't have time to throw the block on Pettit. Kyle White hanging out of that top spot. Now side by side for second. It's Aaron Smith and Adam Pettit. Shady Acres says we will have literally a drop of fuel to make it. Inches apart, Adam Pettit and Aaron Smith off turn number 4. Now dropping to the low side of the racetrack. William Tyndall trying to make some hay, but no one goes with him. Look at this group of racers off turn 2 down the back straightaway. Kyle White leads them with 21 to go. Out of line, Chris Wally. Remember, he made that early pit stop earlier. It was about 8 laps prior to everybody else. He went a lap down, got it back through that green flag cycle. Now trying to hold off the 62 of William Tyndall. Wally swaps lanes now in behind the number 39 of Gavin Hinson. Couldn't make it stick, lost the nose considerably there in the dirty air. Now 3 wide off turn number 2 with Nile just to the right elbow. Tyndall to the inside. With 19 laps to go, what do you say we crank it up? Let's do it. Gavin Hinson now going for the race lead, trying to take it away from Kyle White on the outside, coming to 16 laps to go. Time is running out, but who has enough Tiger in the tank to make it to the end of this one? White and Hinson. White takes the top spot back, but Hinson with a run. He may have it down off of turn number 2, and he does. Carries it down the back straightaway. We'll see if he's got enough help to get it done. Aaron Smith about 3 car lengths back, but White will settle in behind, so Gavin Hinson now to the race lead. I got to say, I am super impressed with the pace of these guys in the top three, Hinson, White, and Aaron Smith. They made, well, Aaron Smith maybe took tires on that because he came down and took an extra splash of fuel to try and make it to the end, but there were some two-tire and no-tire gambles here at the front of the field, and so far, so good. But Hinson checking out. Biggest lead we've seen all day. 3.5 tenths, maybe 4 tenths with 15 laps to go. Hinson ahead of Aaron Smith, Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, and Brandon Mefford. Oh, boy. That was a close call with Nilgis and William Tyndall. They were all crossed up after some contact, but they both keep it straight. Tyndall making moves to the bottom of the racetrack, dives it down, picks up a couple, stays alongside of Kevin McCann. McCann will have the run off of turn number 2, but some help still there for Tyndall as Chris Mefford there in tow. Chris Wally the same, but nope, changes his mind. He'll get in behind Hardy. Mefford now with a run. He'll take a spot cleanly, drives it way deep into turn number 3. Way down the bottom of the racetrack, Chris Mefford slides back up in front of traffic. Little bit of contact from Tyndall, crosses him up some more. That was a close call. Kyle White looks like he made a pit stop here at lap 87 to make sure he could get to the end. Don't know how this will play out strategy-wise because he has lost a lap in the process, but we talked about that tire fall off. He's going to be at a faster pace, so these guys that need to make a late pit stop just to make it to the end, this could work out for a solid finish for Kyle White. I don't know if it's a winning strategy, but it may help him in the points column. 3 wide, banging fenders down into turn number 1. Chris Mefford, Kevin McCann, side by side, trading paint. Kyle White now into the mix. Left side's just below the yellow line in the middle of 1 and 2. Hinson continues to lead. Aaron Smith second. Brian McCann runs third. Then it's Mefford and Kevin McCann side by side for the 4th spot. Kevin McCann now sticks the nose to the inside of brother Brian for the 3rd spot. Has a good run off of turn number 4. Hinson just throwing blocks here, trying to change lanes, trying to draw some guys up. Changes it back to the top side. William Tyndall all over the back of Kyle White. Kyle White a lap down, Tyndall up the racetrack into Chris Mefford. Pettit up the racetrack as well. That was a close call. Jason Nilgis up the gut. No way we make it to the end without a yellow. Kyle White gets his lap back on his own. Again, that's the differential with the fresh tires. Kyle White leads the pack, but at the tail end of the lead lap in 17th position. Meanwhile, behind them, battle for the actual race lead, Hinson and Chris Mefford. Mefford on position into turn number 1. He'll take the spot. We'll see if Hinson's got enough of a run, but he's too far back. I don't know. Chris Mefford will close the door off of turn number 2 and retake, now just take the top spot. First time out in front for the 46 tonight. Ten laps to go. So Chris Mefford, your race leader here in the closing laps of this race. His last pit stop at lap 68. He was one of the drivers that came down for the extra splash of fuel, but will it be enough to get to the finish if this runs green all the way to the end? Oh, trouble off turn number 2. Brandon Mefford goes around.
Caution, sorry.
Caution on the Speedway. Hard impact. Brandon Mefford to the inside wall. It's the second trip to that wall tonight. But caution number 3 with 8 laps to go. This throws the fuel strategy out the window, but I'd be willing to bet there's some guys with an extra set of tires sitting over that wall. This was off of turn 2. Tyndall and Brandon Mefford coming together midway down the back straightaway. Both drivers will head down into that inside wall. Tyndall drives away without contact, but Mefford a gigantic piece of the safer barrier. Shady Acres in the chat says, knew that caution was going to come. Yeah, the way they were racing, I don't know. Like I said it just a couple of laps ago. No way they make it to the end without a yellow, and sure enough. We got Austin Martin in the IROC TV chat. Says, let's go with 39. Gavin Hinson. Hinson running in the second spot. But decision time. Do you pit? Do you not? With this caution, those drivers right on the edge, they can make it. But do you take the tires? Fuel no longer a question, but grip and lap time, I don't know. We'll see. See who takes the gamble here and comes down pit lane. Chris Mefford with the lead. Does he pit? Again, last stop for the 46, lap 68. Looks like he's going to come down. And here he comes with a lot of drivers in tow, but Aaron Smith, Jason Nile just looks like they stay out. So do some others. Interesting. So we got Shroom 1267 says, here's how Kyle White can still win. That's over in the IROC TV chat. Shady Acres says, we had just enough to make it too. Damn, would have loved to see who would have run out at the end. It probably would have been a disaster because it would have been multiple guys running out, not willing to make that final pit stop. I'm going to stretch it as far as I can, and it probably would have been a disaster on the backstretch. So speaking of Kyle White, he made his pit stop at lap 87. He got his lap back on his own on raw pace alone. He's shown in the 5th position. So he's got a good opportunity here. Kyle Hardy in the 6th spot. He pit under this yellow, but took fuel only. 5-second stop for Hardy. Pettit, the same story, 6.1 seconds. Chris Mefford in 8th. Took 4 tires and fuel. So he's out there ready to get after it, and he'll have a ton of lap time here, and I think we're going to be restarting, I would say, with 5, maybe 4 to go. Plenty of time for the 46 to work his way through. We'll just see if he's going to have some help, because I think he's going to need it. So 5 laps to go, and the pace car lights are off. So yes, with 4 laps remaining, we'll get the restart. Hopefully we can make it to the end without another yellow. Shady Acres says, we started 22nd, and we're up to 6. We just need the points. Latrell Racing says, did the 29 stay out? Christian Strader on the racetrack. His last stop, lap 67. And he appears to have taken right sides only on that stop. So very old left side tires for the 29. No matter how this one turns out, what a race it has been. The action been constant all race long. I mean, right from the drop of the original green flag, these guys have been getting after it, putting on a show. And again, we're almost done with this thing. We've only had 3 cautions. Ironically, 2 of them for Brandon Mefford. Poor guy. Oh, here we go. Potentially the final restart of tonight's race. Pace car heads to pit lane. Barney with the green in hand, ready to throw it and get this thing back underway with 4 laps to go. Front row will be Aaron Smith and Jason Nile. Just green flag in the air. Off of turn number 2, 3.5 laps to go. Aaron Smith leads Christian Strader. Jason Nowge is in trouble. Brian McCann way out of the way. We got trouble into turn number 3. Caution is out.
What do you think, bud? You think you're all right out there?
So this will set us up for our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish. William Tyndall, Kevin McCann badly damaged. Kevin McCann just toes right to pit lane. Again, a part-time effort for the 33. I think this all started off with some contact with Brian McCann. Let's see if we can get a look at it. So watch the 3 and then Steve Durbin, the 99 to the outside. Tough to tell exactly how it happened. I don't know if Brian was coming up the racetrack to avoid contact with his brother Kevin. Either way, gets into Steve Durbin. Starts to come around, and then the same story there for Chris Wall. He gets clipped by the 99. That's really the caution right there. I think Brian McCann had it saved if it weren't for the rest of this incident. Man, Brian McCann really wheeling that thing. So this is a decision time for Christian Strader. I really don't see him making it to the end of this green-white checkered. I know we've had a couple of cautions now to try and stretch the fuel where they were already at the very maximum, if not more, of that fuel window. He stays out on the racetrack, shown in the second position. But at the same time, Aaron Smith, his last pit stop was lap 68. Strader's was 67. Looks like the 29 is going to have to come down for a splash. He's showing his hand right now. I don't know if he's going to pop back up on the racetrack, but it looks like he has to come down. And he stays out. Oh my goodness. Well, those of you guys that like fuel mileage races, it just turned into one for some of these drivers. Christian Strader stays on the racetrack. His last stop coming at lap 67. Same story for Jason Nilgis, though. He didn't pit either. So there's a couple of drivers in that top 3 that have a very serious potential of not making it to the end. And that fuel cell running dry before the checkered. We're on the one to go, folks. First attempt at a green-white checkered finish. The way it works, they add laps to the race. Again, it was scheduled for 101 laps, 202 miles. The green flag will come out. Then the white, of course, signifying the last lap. And then, of course, the checkered flag to close the race out. However, if something happens prior to the leader taking the white flag and the caution needs to come back out, they'll throw the yellow and they'll add some more laps. And we'll try it again, which will absolutely force some of those guys to hit pit lane to take on some fuel. If the leader takes the white and then there's a wreck, it doesn't matter. They're going to come back around to the checkers regardless. We'll do this up to 3 times, this being our first try. Here we go. William Tyndall in the 10th spot.
Green.
He's on the racetrack and he has a meatball flag right now. He's in trouble. 2 laps to go for Michigan. Aaron Smith out in front, gets the jump over Chuck Sweeting and Christian Strader. Do they have enough fuel to make it? Tyndall drops back to the 17th spot. He is well off the pace. Aaron Smith still with the lead over Chuck Sweeting. Can the 75 run him down? Do they have enough fuel to make it to the end? Dropping it down to the bottom of the racetrack. White flag in the air. Final lap from Michigan. Aaron Smith, Jason Niles, Kyle White, the top 3. Will it remain the same? Side by side for the second spot. Niles disposes of Kyle White, but gets the wall pretty hard, and he'll spin off of turn number 2 and hit the wall. His race is over, but back out front, Aaron Smith unchallenged. Couple of corners to go away from win number 7. Half a second advantage over Casey Benz. Aaron Smith looking at the checkered flag, and he will cruise to victory here at the Charity Motorsports 202. Casey Benz will run in the second position. Gavin Hinson comes home in third. Kyle White will finish in the 14th position with damage. So win number 7 for Aaron Smith. Well, I don't think they're happy with Aaron Smith picking up another win. Just saying. Smith parking it in victory lane here at Michigan Speedway for his 7th victory of the season on a tear here in the IROC Challenge Series. We're going to step aside, get our break out of the way. We'll be back with our top 3 finishers after this. Stay with us.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else!
Back at Michigan Speedway for the Charity Motorsports 202 in the books. Aaron Smith from pole taking the race win. He obviously had a fast race car here tonight, but there were plenty of times where he just didn't have the pace to maintain that race lead. But pace, some strategy, some quick thinking, and then holding those guys off on a green-white checkered finish. He picks up the race win here. Let's see if we can get a word with driver of the number 70 machine, Aaron Smith, with the win here tonight. We'll pull him up in the booth. Aaron Smith, it's Steve with Track Limits. You got a good copy?
Yeah, I've got you.
Aaron, congratulations, man. Win number 7 on the season. I remember a time when you were far more dominant than this, but 7 wins after, I think, about 18 races already. That's still pretty impressive. Walk us through your night. Put it on pole tonight. Not necessarily what we usually see out of the 70, but you're always there at the end. Did that good track position really help you quite a bit here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, tracks like these, I'd say winning here is harder than winning at Daytona because everyone and their mother can make the draft work, but you have to make the corner after you get a run. So I tried to take all the advantage I could have out of that, and yeah, I had to go off strategy on the tires just to be able to get back out front because once you end up in that pack, there's nothing you can do. 6th or 7th, you might as well just park it at that point, but got the lead, kept it. Had that caution, stayed out on those old tires, and fortunately we didn't get a run long enough for them to matter. So honestly, I thought I missed turns 1 and 2 there on the last lap. I was looking behind me, saw the train start to roll, and then they all derailed. So figured that was that, and we were able to have a smooth sailing to the checkered. But yeah, it was a great race.
Speaking of the draft, we saw a lot of guys try to make those moves to the inside, but without anybody there helping or pulling them along, they weren't able to complete it. With the exception of a couple of opportunities, we saw you able to complete a pass on the bottom. Just a whale of a run it appeared out of turn number 4. Carried it all the way down into turn number 1 and just drove away after that. Was the draft that much of an issue here tonight? Did you really need a dancing partner like you typically do on the super speedways?
Yeah, like if you had two people in front of you working together, there was only so much you could do. Like one would run a lower lane, one would run higher in the corners, and you'd be stuck in all that dirty air, and it'd be absolutely hopeless unless you got another run with the car behind you. But yeah, like I said, the tire advantage came into play there, and I was able to get that track position at the right time.
Certainly an impressive win as we roll into the All-Star break, which is rather late in the season. You know, typically you call the All-Star break mid-season, but this coming just before the championship race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Number 1A, how do you prepare for the All-Star race next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway, keeping in mind the fact that you really got to set your sights on that big prize at Charlotte in the championship?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good about Charlotte. Do you know which Atlanta we're running at for the All-Star race?
I do not, but I don't know. Knowing Chris Wally, it's probably the Super Speedway.
Yeah, I think so. If it's the old Atlanta, though, that'd be a blast. I'd be looking forward to that. But either way, the last exhibition race I ran, I finished half a lap. So hopefully I'll do a little better next week.
Well, Aaron, congratulations, man. Picking up yet another win here in the IROC Challenge Series. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the folks at the IROC Challenge for putting on another great race. We had fewer cautions than I was expecting. Usually these big tracks are races of attrition, but we had a lot of cars there at the end, and had one giant wreck from the sound of it. No, that was it. So it was a great race from start to finish. I'd like to thank all the folks for watching, as well as you for broadcasting. Looking forward to getting back at it, hopefully 2 more times this season.
All right, Aaron. Congrats again. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Aaron Smith, your race winner here at Michigan Speedway. Next, we'll talk to the 27 of Casey Bentz. Started in the 7th position. It was there when it mattered. Finishes in the 2nd spot here tonight. Casey Bentz and Steve with Track Limits. You got me?
Yes, I do, Steve.
Casey, nice run here tonight. 2nd place. When you finish 2nd to Aaron Smith, it's almost like a win, just without the money, without the prizes. But it's iRacing, so there's really no money. Walk us through your race. What was going through your head there in those closing laps in that green-white checkered finish?
Yeah, my big concern was the tires weren't going to be enough to get me up there. That first green-white checkered we had stuck down there on the bottom. I just had no momentum at all. I couldn't get up to the top. And the second one, I got up right on that far outside groove in turn 1, and I ripped past, I think, 2 or 3 cars, and that's when I realized, maybe I've got a shot at this, but overall, I didn't think I was going to be finishing 2nd at the end of it.
All-Star race next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but of course everybody's thinking about Charlotte here to close out the season for this championship series. What's more important in your mind, having a good run of the All-Star race or closing out the season with a win?
I would love to close out the season with a win, but honestly, I'm feeling like the All-Star race might be my one shot here. I think I'm a little bit too far out, even with this 2nd place, to have a shot at the championship. So probably a really good run at the All-Star race is what I'm looking for.
All right, Casey. Well, a job well done here tonight. Who do you want to shout out to?
Yeah, I want to shout out my teammates, the Cleeks. Todd especially worked with me pretty much the entire race. We both kind of got off on strategy a little bit, but we figured out how to keep ourselves in it, especially being stuck in that 2nd pack for most of that 2nd run. We were just kind of able to keep it rolling, and we ended up with 2nd place finish for me, and I don't know where he finished, but we tried.
Well, it's all you can do. Teamwork wins, assembly line to finish line. You finished 2nd here tonight. Certainly wish you the best of luck in the All-Star race next week and moving forward into our final regular season race in Charlotte. Casey, thanks for talking to us. Good luck.
Yep, thank you.
Casey Bentz, runner-up here at Michigan Speedway. Next, we'll talk to the driver of the number 39, Gavin Hinson, driving it up to that 3rd place finish from a 14th place starting position. Let's get a word with the driver of that number 39. Gavin Hinson, Steve with Track Limits. You got us?
Yes, sir. You got me.
Gavin, loud and clear. Congratulations, man. 14th to 3rd. No one's going to complain about that. Obviously, you'd love to pick up a win or even a 2nd place, but top 3 finish at the end of these things, certainly nothing to complain about. Walk us through your race. What was going through your head in that green-white checkered? Was it a tire strategy? Was it fuel? What was the issue? Was there an issue?
Well, I mean, the race was about what I expected. It's just a lot of pack racing, and tires were a big issue. And I didn't do a good job at saving tires. I wanted to try to gain track position and ended up losing the track position. So that was a battle all night. Last restart I had fresh tires along with Chris, and I thought I had a shot, but it was just tough. There's a lot of people side drafting, a lot of stuff going on, and they wrecked on the backstretch. I don't know what happened, but luckily came away unscathed for top 3. I don't know if I could have, if I had a cleaner shot, 70. I don't know if I could have done anything. But I'm more than pleased to run 3rd here.
Well, it's something you definitely did not just luck into. You had pace tonight. We saw you quite a few times racing with those guys in the pack, making moves, trying to work your way forward. And at the end of this thing, of course, a 3rd place finish, so congratulations at that. Next week, though, kind of an exhibition, Atlanta Motor Speedway for the All-Star race just before we close out the season at Charlotte Motor Speedway. How do you prepare for those 2 races?
Well, is it Atlanta? Is it the new Atlanta or is it the old?
Well, Aaron Smith asked the same question, and my response was, well, if anybody knows Chris Wally, it's probably the Super Speedway style, but I don't know for certain what it's going to be.
Okay, well, I'm not a big fan of the Atlanta Super Speedway. The new Atlanta, I'm not a big fan of it. I guess you kind of go at it the same way this race went. You know, it's pack racing. Everybody's going to be on top of each other, and you're going to probably have wrecks. Got to do a good job of avoiding them.
Well, you did a good job of that here tonight, finishing in the 3rd position. Congratulations, Gavin. Who do you want to thank before we kick you out of here?
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for broadcasting, and shout out to my team, Motorsports Racing, and shout out this league. Chris Wiley does a great job, and I look forward to being a part of it in the future.
All right, Gavin. Well, again, job well done. And Todd Kleek does confirm we are in the Super Speedway style next week at Atlanta Echo Park Speedway. So looking forward to that. Gavin, congrats again. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck at Atlanta and Charlotte.
Thank you, sir.
Gavin Hinson, your 3rd place finisher here at Michigan Speedway. That'll do it for the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. Let's take a look here at our race results. Of course, we talked to our top 3, Aaron Smith, Casey Bentz, Gavin Hinson, Brandon Mefford. Brandon Mefford? He wrecked twice on the backstretch and wadded that thing up and still drove it back to a 4th place finish. Job well done out of the Mefford camp. Brian McCann involved in that last late crash as well. Didn't hit anything, but lost some track position, still salvaged a top 5 finish. Adam Pettit, really fast in this race tonight, settles for P6. Christian Strader battled his way and saved the fuel, finishes 7th. Kyle Hardy was 8th, a strong run out of the 35 as well. Steve Durbin, a front runner for a time, finishes 9th. Todd Kleek, a solid top 10. Doug Wysocki finished in 11th. Chris Wally was trying to throw things off with some strategy early. He finishes 12th. Chris Mefford fast as well. He finished 13th. Kyle White was 14th. Jason Nilgis, again, a front runner as well tonight. He'll finish 15th, 1 lap down. Chuck Sweeting was 16th. 17th finisher was William Tyndall, 18th. Kevin McCann after a wreck. Peter Ruzick was 19th. Garrett Johnston was 20th. Zachary Kleek, 21st. And last but not least, a contender all season long, has won a bunch of races, but he'll take 22nd and last. TJ Majors rounding out the field. That's going to do it here for the Charity Motorsports 202 here from Michigan Speedway. Be back next week. I don't know if they've got it budgeted for me to broadcast the All-Star race in Atlanta, but I already told Chris Wally that I'm happy to do it. Just throw me some tips, whatever y'all want to do. Either way, I'm covering it. It's going to be a fun race to watch. So tune in here next week, Track Limits Network. No matter what happens, I'm covering it. I don't care. This league has been too good to me. I'm going to be good right back. So we'll see you here live, Track Limits Network, 9 p.m. in the East, on the same channel you've been watching all season long. If you haven't already done so, like, follow, subscribe, share it with your buddies that didn't get a chance to watch it, especially your iRacing buddies that might be in other leagues that, I don't know, maybe they need a broadcaster. We're always looking for extra dates, so that can help us out quite a bit. So thank you guys all for watching. Stream chat busy on both sides, IROC TV and Track Limits Network. I appreciate you guys certainly for being here. Shady Acres, as always, thanks for chatting me up and helping us out and giving me some inside information as a spotter. I do appreciate that, but that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.